Hey everyone, this is Benoit from Payflow. I'm the co-founder of this HR tech fintech, and today I'm going to tell you a bit about the story of Payflow. Okay, so first of all, what is Payflow? Payflow is a mobile app that allows people to get paid whenever they want. We sell as an employee benefit to companies in Latin America and Southern Europe. Okay, so what does it mean to get paid on demand? What does it mean to get paid whenever you want? Well, if you think about it, what is the best day of the month? Right? The day when you get paid, correct? So what Payflow does is that it takes this day and makes it any day, right? Any day can be payday, right? For us, with my co-founder, we had the idea of Payflow when we were actually studying together. We both studied at MIT in the US, and we were looking at different business models. At the same time, we were doing like small jobs, right? Like I was teaching math and physics to younger kids, and after that, after every time I was working, I was getting paid. And guess what? It was really, really good. It was a good feeling to work and get paid. Understand the link between work and reward and make that link instant was fantastic, right? Who hasn't never helped a neighbor or friends or parents on a couple of things and then got a bill of like 20, $50, right? That's basically Payflow. It doesn't have like cool colors and a nice app and all of that, but this is Payflow. You pay, you work, you get paid, right? And if you think about it, it's not even a new concept, right? Because it's a concept that exists in a larger extent in the digital economy, right? So when you get a cab, the person drives for 20 minutes and then gets paid. They're like $10, $15, right? When you order a pizza or a burger on Rappi or on Glovo, the person drives, brings you the food, and then gets paid, right? So the question is why no one else except in the digital economy is doing that? Because if I work in a call center, I get paid every time I'm giving a call, right? Well, this is what Payflow is doing. We're plugging into the HR systems, payroll, HRIS, time and attendance, and we allow people to get paid whenever they want, whenever they have worked, right? And we're selling it as an employee benefit. And so this is actually like a product that exists for quite some time. Actually, in the US, you have close to 30% of the active population that has already been working in a company doing on-demand pay or earned wage access, but that doesn't exist much in Latin America and Southern Europe, right? So this is exactly what we wanted to do, because at the end of the day, benefit is not something that is accessible for frontline workers, right? Accessible for managers, directors, right? Like typically a benefit, as you think about it, is medical insurance for the HR director or car for the finance director, right? But hey, like the driver doesn't get much benefit except his salary. The factory worker doesn't get much benefit except shoes that protects his feet, right? That's not a benefit, that's security. That's not a benefit. So now if you think about it, giving this little plus to employees that have never had any benefit makes them extremely sticky to the company, makes them feel valued, makes them feel that the company cares, right? And at the end, we're an HR company. We don't charge any employee for that. We don't charge commission, we don't charge interest, we don't charge anything, right? The business model is very simple. We charge $1 to $2 per employee per month, right, to the company. So it's a license. And actually, if you think about it, like that's what quite some discussions about how should we charge for that product, right? Because you think about it, who are we helping? We're helping the employee, right? We'll just like free coffee. Free coffee, it's a benefit. People love coffee. If you put free coffee in your company, people are going to come and they're going to be happier. why companies pay for free coffee, because they feel that the cost of free coffee is lower than the happiness or the benefit they create by having free coffee in their company. Well, this is the same for Payflow. It's free coffee, right? So HR directors believe that by paying this $1 to $2 per employee per month for the license will outweigh, basically, like the benefit will outweigh the cost, right? And so we've decided to charge the company only, and as I mentioned, to charge a license fee, meaning that we don't charge dependently on the volume that people use, right? So if no one uses Payflow, it's the same cost that if everyone uses Payflow. And if people use Payflow for 1% of their salary or 1% of their salary, well, it's the same cost as well. We don't want to incentivize the use, right? And that's fundamentally because we are a company that cares about how employees are feeling, because we're a benefit company. We're not a payday loan, right? So we could very well say to companies, I'm going to charge you for every single transactions your employee make, or I'm going to charge you for every single active employee that you have, or per dollar value that people move through the platform. Well, that would be fundamentally wrong. It would be fundamentally wrong because it would mean that I have, as a startup, an incentive to push your employees to withdraw their salary. But hey, who am I to tell people that they should get paid? Like, this is their right. They have worked, right? On the first day of the month, I can't use the app because I haven't worked. But on the second day, I can withdraw the first day because I have worked. I should be the one deciding. I should not have a company, Payflow, telling me, hey, it's Black Friday today. Why don't you withdraw your salary and go spend it? That feels wrong, right? So this is a little bit like our vision, right? Like we want to have employees aware of the safety net that we're providing to them, but without having to push them to do anything, right? And that's why fundamentally we want to charge a license, right? But we didn't stop there. We didn't stop there because what we want is not to just create a way of people to get paid whenever they want. What we want is to create a financial wellness platform, right? And to have an ecosystem where people have a lot of products that help them have less financial stress and live better overall, right? Payflow, the first product we developed. We realized that if you only have Payflow, there could be misuse. There could be companies or there could be employees that just withdraw their salary. So when we had that behavior, we did two things, right? The first thing is that we provided safeguards, right? We told companies, hey, now you're going to be able to block usage to prevent usage that is too high, just to protect your employees, right? And that's why we introduced limits, right? So a lot of companies actually put limits around 30%, right? Typically because 70% of the salary goes into three basic necessities, which are basically transport, food, and rent, right? And 70% of your salary will go there, right? So we would rather not touch it. So that's why we recommend companies to put that as a first limit, right? That's to rehab it. But you can't just do limits. You have also to educate people, right? And this is why we created LearnFlow, right? So LearnFlow is a financial education platform. It's an e-learning platform. Think of it as a Coursera specifically for financial education. So what is the problem with financial education? The problem with financial education is that it's not easily accessible, right? So first, it's not given to everyone, right? If you don't have like a family that has given you like basic concept of finance and of how to manage your personal finances, you can't really learn it by yourself. You don't learn it at school. You don't learn it in high school. You don't learn it at university. You don't learn it anywhere, right? And if you still want to learn it, you're going to Google financial education, how to manage my personal finance, how to get better at managing my money. Well, guess what? You will land in websites of banks, of financial institutions, which in a sense are not really incentivized to give you right advice. They are more incentivized to give you advice that will help them sell more products, right? Well, if you have a problem in your money, you should get a short-term loan. No, I'm sorry, this is not what you should do. You should save money. That's what you should do. You should not get a short-term loan. That's not good, right? But if you're going on a bank website, that's what you will most likely find as a recommendation, how to manage your short-term money needs. So this is why we created LearnFlow, to have content that is completely objective, right? It's completely neutral. We don't have an incentive in telling people to take a loan or take a credit card or just save. Our only incentive is to have people feel better in the company, because that's what the company pays us for, right? And so all the content in LearnFlow has been curated and developed by ourselves, by our experts, right? Without any second agenda, right? And so this is why this is why basically, like, LearnFlow has been a very powerful product to balance the first product of Payflow, right? So it's thanks to LearnFlow, people learn in a very gamified way. They see like a couple of classes about budget, about retirement, about saving, right? And they can do quizzes and they can learn in a fun way, right? And this is what LearnFlow does. Once we had Pay and Learn, we realized that big need, especially in the younger population, younger employees, was to fix savings, right? Why do I say fix savings? Because fundamentally, saving is not working, right? It's not working because the process associated is complicated, right? If you're a frontline worker and if you want to absolutely save, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to go to physically to a bank, like you go to your Santander, to your BBVA, and you will say, I want to open a saving account. They will say, sure. They will give you 8 pages. You need to flip through, read them, sign all of them, wait for a couple of weeks, and maybe you'll have a savings account if you didn't miss any of the information you were asked, right? And even though if you do that, even though if you put your $100 or equivalent in that account, in 1 year at best, you're gonna get what? $4, $5 of interest, right? What can you buy with that? 2 coffees, 3 coffees? It's broken. That's not how you should be saving. The way you should be saving is by understanding fundamentally how savings work. Right? And saving is all about dreams. It's all about goals, right? You don't save for saving. You save for goals, right? So if you say, hey, you know what, my goal is to buy a really nice present to my son for Christmas. Well, that's a goal. So you will be able to save towards that, right? Because the reality is, if you don't have goals, you're just going to spend all your salary, because that's what you've been doing all your life, right? So if you make $1,000 a month, at the end of the month, chances are that you will be left with $50 or less. If you make $950 a month, chances are that you're going to be left with $50 at the end of the month. You're not going to be left with zero. You're going to be left with more or less the same amount. So why don't you take $50 at the beginning if you make 1,000 and make it as if you were making 950? That's the whole idea of SafeFlow, is that you take your money at the beginning, at the source, you put it in a piggy bank, you put it in a digital wallet that is protected, and then you basically continue your life, spend all your salary if you want to, and be left with $50. But those $50 that you saved at the beginning, they are there, and they're going to accumulate every month. And after 12 months, you're going to have $600, and you're going to buy a really nice present for your family, right? So that's how fundamentally savings should work, right? And that's why fundamentally we've done SafeFlow, right? So once we have pay, learn, and save, we were thinking that there is an interesting concept that is called flexible benefit. That has started with food, right? Like the ticket restaurants, right? When you go to a restaurant and the company is giving you those like paper meal vouchers, and you say, hey, I want to buy whatever, like a burger, and they tell you, oh, we accept those meal vouchers, and the company has given you these and you can pay with it, right? Well, that's FlexFlow, but FlexFlow is digital, right? So it's a card. It's very extremely simple. You go with it, and basically you come and you go and tap it, and this actually has paid for your food directly using your salary, right? And it recognizes if it's food, recognizes if it's transport, or if it's kindergarten or anything like that, right? And it categorizes it, and you don't pay taxes, you don't pay income tax on that, because you pay out of your gross salary and not out of your net salary. So we're launching this product in Europe, right? We've been live for a couple of months already, and ready to scale it further. So these are how the product look like, right? So PayFlow earned wage access, in that example, 60 euros will be withdrawn out of the 320 euros available, right? So the person just in one click can withdraw these. The money is brought from by PayFlow. The company at the end of the month pays us back the license fee, but also the money we've been putting during the month. So there's no cash flow disruption, and there is also no process disruption, because we integrate with HR providers. FlexFlow, what we mentioned, right? The card to allow you to manage your benefits directly. SafeFlow, in order for you to save directly with an app. And LearnFlow, that is basically the learning platform that allows you to learn in a seamless way about financial education, right? So these are more or less what we've developed in the last 2 years, 2 years and a half. So how far along are we? Well, PayFlow is the leading salary on-demand provider in Latin America and in Europe, those two regions, right? We have over 500 clients and over 300,000 employees in our platform, right? And have raised over 15 million euros in investment. Typically, our investors would include Rocket Internet, Seaya, Y Combinator, but also big corporates like Telefonica, right? We're often asked, like, what companies would be using PayFlow? So enterprise, because there's a lot of employees, there is a need for salary on demand. For instance, Alcampo, Vitas, Mango, Kiron. So like here you have pretty much like all type of industries, from like retail, groceries, to healthcare, to clothing, to transportation. So enterprise will be a big vertical. Restaurants and hotels, right, will be also heavily using PayFlow. So for instance, Five Guys, NH Hoteles, so like Ibis, like a lot of hotel groups are using PayFlow to pay their employees on demand and all the benefits that go with it. Industry is also a very large vertical. Con Concreto in Colombia, from the construction industry, to also like Coren, Covap in Spain, but also retail, right? Like so grocery and also clothing retail, like Flying Tiger or Lanidor in Portugal, right? And that allows us to operate in 4 main markets in 2 regions: Colombia, Peru in Latin America, and Spain and Portugal in Europe. And so this is quite interesting to understand, like how would PayFlow work, right? Like if you're at a company, like how much people would be using PayFlow, right? A little bit about understanding what is the typical behavior of an employee using PayFlow. Well, first of all, over 40 or even over 50% of the employee pool will be using PayFlow, right? So it's a benefit that is extremely heavily used. And the second interesting thing is that employees will be using it quite often, right? Withdrawing a couple of times per month, but for amounts that are pretty small, right? And so that will create like a huge benefit for HR directors that will basically see their employees using the benefits a lot more than they would be using any type of other benefits that they typically have. Right? So that's a little bit about story of Payflow, different products, and the traction we've achieved so far. This is Payflow. Thank you.